What's up, Jackalope friends and family and fans? My name is Terry Guest.
Hi, my name is Abbas Salem.
And I'm Daria Miyeko Marinelli. Cool, great. I guess we'll start. I'm curious, here's my easy question, and then I have a hard question. I'm curious for you guys how the play you're working on feels both like a natural extension of the work you've done before and how it feels like a departure or something like radically new as well. Or maybe it's just one of them.
For me, it is similar to work that I've done because it relates to history and it relates specifically to a really famous rich person. I have such an interest in how capitalism and fame intersect, mostly because I grew up someone who didn't necessarily have a lot of, my parents didn't have a lot of extra money. So I fantasize so much about the financial pleasures that could be given to me through like becoming famous. But also I was queer and, a Pisces and melancholic. So the appeal of just being beloved by millions of people also is really intoxicating. And I spend a lot of my writing time trying to work through that for myself. So I would say that's the way that it's similar. And then it is a departure because it is so personal. I usually write about things that are either kind of like historic or political, or if they are personal, they are about my family members. But Michael Jackson in the Devil's Book, which was a surprise to me, by the way, turned out to be a really personal play that was scary to share. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool.
I'd say my answer is a little similar in that I feel like this play is about a subject matter that I've written about before, which is being an Arab American or being an Arab in America. And using culture as a context for creating a story feels like something that is familiar. That's how a lot of my storytelling has been, whether it has been in a play or not. The way that I feel like it's new is that it's really stylized in a way that I'm really unused to writing. I feel like when I write scripts or when I write dialogue, I want it to feel as natural as possible, but I'm trying to write a romantic comedy, which automatically makes it really stilted. So I've just been having either a lot of trouble or a lot of fun in writing romantic comedy dialogue and either leaning too far into it or like just leaning into it enough where it just feels awkward, and finding that balance, I think, is what's going to be the thing for the next draft.
Awesome.
Daria.
Okay. I think it's old or a return in that it's like a dance theater piece, and it sort of like takes place in this expanded space of like a warehouse or something. And I used to write work like that in my 20s and was like, no one's ever gonna produce it. And then started writing normal plays. And then now that Jack was like, here's a commission, we'll have to give you your support. I was like, oh, I'm gonna write something that like expands.
Yes.
And then I think it's new in that it's like the first time that I've like tried to braid three things that I'm really fascinated about together. And they're all a little like socio-political. Like they're all like things we use daily, like Instagram or food or data centers, but also me being like, why don't we think about that without being too heavy-handed? So, yeah.
Cool.
Abbas, what's a question you have?
My easier question: what was the most interesting idea for a play that you were considering for this commission that didn't get written, or that you didn't write? It's like, what was the runner-up that you almost wrote, if there was one?
I don't know. Terry, you look like you're thinking, so I'm gonna jump in and vamp, unless you have it. I say, I don't know if this is a runner-up for this, but I read a New York Times article once about a gang of like teenage girls who rove around on skateboards. So that's like a play that I want to write at some point. That's in my back pocket. So
I love that.
Yeah, a runner up. I have so many things that I want to write, but will never actually like I couldn't possibly sit down and write all of them. I'm working on like 6 plays right now, so I feel kind of like whatever my second was for this, I'm probably working on. But I have always wanted to write a play about vampires, just like a sort of almost like a B movie plot, just completely apolitical, just like vampires having fun and fucking and killing each other. So it's coming, the vampire play.
That's what you should call it. It's coming.
See.
I'd watch.
Thank you. I'm gonna take that and give you no credit. So
no, take it, give him no credit, but also then have the photo on the.
Oh
Isn't
my
that
God.
from a vampire play? Did you not say?
Oh yeah. You can borrow that photo.
Yes.
I'll have to get into it.
For listeners at
Oh,
home, Abbas, you should tell this story. I cannot possibly explain what we're talking about.
Oh, we're talking about this portrait that I have of myself on my wall.
Field trip.
Come on, let's go.
Sorry, it was a callback, but I forgot that we'd called forth prior to starting. Ta-da!
Somebody from Hinsdale South High School is watching this. I did not steal that from the production of Done to Death, but I did steal that from the production of Done to Death, where I played a vampire and they took one of my school photos and aged it. So you can use that in your vampire play called It's Coming.
Perfect. 2025, it's coming. You're cast. Ask cast. You got it.
Check.
Yeah.
Okay, I have an easy question as well. So
wait. But Abbas needs to answer his own question. If I had to do that.
Oh,
sorry.
I had so many stupid ideas. I literally had to tell people to tell me which ideas were dumb. One of the dumbest was I wanted to do a brown version of Grease called Guy, but it wasn't going to be a musical. It was going to be a serious drama.
But the same, like Sandy and Danny.
Yes, I want that.
I definitely want that, and I would like to officially submit for Rizzo. Like, do you need a monologue? Do you want like a,
I think
16 bars?
If you do a movement piece, then Daria and I can audition you for both of our plays.
Perfect. I like that.
Great.
Efficient. Yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll just like email that to you guys afterwards. I don't want to take up too much Zoom time with my movement, Plus, it was just
you're already cast, so it's fine.
Right, exactly.
You are.
Okay, my easy, dumbass, fun-ass question. What do y'all listen to when you're writing? Do you listen to music? Do you listen to music with words? Does it change depending on what you're working on?
Have you guys heard of binaural beats? Do you know what these are? So there's, okay. So if my partner's talking loudly and or I need some space and it's loud, there's like a white noise app. And then this app, so everything in the universe, now this thing is super boo. Anyway, people who are into like biohacking stuff, they found that different frequencies can help your brain either relax or do problem solving or anything like that. And sort of like, I'm gonna go look up at what the app is called, but it's a white noise machine that also like puts in a quiet frequency that'll either like help your brain figure hard shit out or relax. The app is called Binaural, Binaural. So that's my white noise option. Otherwise, it's just music or silence. I've started writing really early in the morning, so then it's just like silence and the cat bothering me. So
that sounds very.
That works better, or does it just like depend on your mood?
It's what I need. So like in the morning, it's super quiet, so that's just it. But then if it's during the day and there's like a meeting going on or something, I'll put in the white noise. So yeah, I'm not a music person.
I listen to music quite a bit while I write, and it varies between like movie scores or actual music with words. I guess it just depends on the scene that I'm writing. But a lot of the times, if I'm having trouble writing a perspective, I put on a song that I don't know, I think will make me feel like that person feels, and then it just feels a little bit more visceral and is easier to describe. I don't know.
Can I
Yeah,
ask a follow-up
Yeah.
question? I'm like, what's the first track for the soundtrack of what you've listened to for this play? Like, what's the thing you've listened to most, or like, what's the like opening sequence song?
That is a good question.
Are you asking me first?
Yeah, yeah, because you said you listen to music. So I'm like, what have you listened to the most?
I don't know. I just wanted to make sure we were talking to me.
Sorry.
There is, since I'm writing a play about Julia Roberts that's set in 2001, that's a romantic comedy, I found a playlist that's like power ballads from 90s romantic comedies. So I was listening to that a lot just to like get me in the mindset and make me feel like cute and sassy and sexy and whatever. So it didn't really work.
It worked. It worked.
It definitely works. He's cute,
It works.
sexy. Yeah. I sort of similar to Abbas. Like I listen to, depending on the scene I'm writing, depending on the play that I'm working on, a myriad of albums, but I have to have music playing or my mind wanders. So, but usually like the most frequent flyers are like Kendrick Lamar, Solange, I write to a lot. She really like zones me out. Who else? A lot of like, recently I've been listening to lots of Lean Teen Price. So just like Ani DeFranco, Joni Mitchell. Yeah, but it changes and alternates too. And musicals, obviously. I write to musicals. I mean, for this play, Michael Jackson and the Devil's Book, I've been listening to a lot of Follies, which is nothing at all like what the play has turned out to be, or like anything Michael Jackson did like musically. But it's so the mood is so specific and clear in that music, and so it helps get me into the like mental space, I guess, of the play.
I feel that.
Nice.
It's like
I
really
love that.
in a similar way to your script.
Yeah, I'm also like I feel like I am a little debaucherous, perhaps. So like when I'm writing, I'm calling on the gods and I'm like smoking weed and like rolling joints and drinking wine and just like holla 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 holla. So it's there's a lot of weird little magic that happens in my tiny little room alone when I'm writing.
I love it.
Can we talk about weed? I guess we'll just edit it out if we can't.
Can we talk about weed? It's legal in Illinois and in California.
It's legal in California. Okay, we got to go for it. I feel like when what's up?
I was just making a dumb joke. Okay.
Wait, I feel like when I smoke, I'm like totally unhinged, and I've never imagined writing while smoking. I'm like catatonic on the sofa or like 1,000 miles per hour. How do you do it, or do you like go back and like edit it?
I pretty much only write while high. And I will go back and edit it, but I will go back and edit it while I'm high as well.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
Ditto.
Maybe we found the problem.
It's just, to be honest, I'm high a lot. And
what I hear you saying is I need to practice more.
Exactly.
Yes, we said this to you, I think.
Yeah, it's all about rehearsal.
Okay. I didn't mean to get you off, Terry. I feel like there's a nugget in there too.
Probably not. I don't know. Nugget?
Hopefully.
But yeah, I don't know. It like getting high and writing feels now it's my turn to be woo-woo, but it feels ancient in a way. It feels sort of like the act of burning something, and since I'm usually writing in my room alone, I feel like I'm in a cave, there's fire, and I am just taking a moment to unabashedly imagine, you know, which we just don't, most people don't get to do. And, you know, I think people who aren't artists only get to imagine unabashedly when they're masturbating, but, you know, we get to do that for work. And what a blessing.
Hmm.
And we can break to masturbate whenever we want. Because we work
Exactly.
from home.
Okay, I have, oh wait, is it my turn? No, it's not my turn.
Do your serious question.
Okay, I'll do my more serious question. So I don't know if you guys have been like watching the news or anything this week, but but we're in a really complex moment in my life. I will say, I'll keep this personal because I can imagine that my grandmother has probably felt many moments like this in her life, living through the 60s, living through the AIDS crisis, living through, you know, so many things. But for me, this feels like such a big, gigantic moment. And sometimes it feels overwhelming. And I'm so thankful that I am a writer and that I have places like Jackalope who will offer us money to be able to work out some of my anxieties and some of the shit that I have. And it has made it both really difficult to create, and also I feel like I have a purpose and like I have something to say. And like as an artist right now, there's a sense of urgency, which is really cool. But I wanted to ask y'all, at what points have you felt really inspired by all the bullshit that's going on right now in our world and in our country? And at what points have you felt really discouraged by that? And when you are feeling discouraged, what do you do to like bring yourself up and tell yourself, hey, dude, write something, create something, make something? That's a long question. Good job, or good luck, Steve, with like typing that all out.
It's a really good question.
Really well thought out question, you know. Shall I go first?
Yeah.
Perhaps the last part of that question is the easiest to answer. How do I pull myself out of a funk when I feel especially discouraged by the world? Before quarantine or before pandemic, I was a person that spent a lot of time alone just naturally. And then having to spend so much more time alone during the pandemic allowed me to realize how revitalizing socializing can be, especially when I target it and use it appropriately and speak to people that I actually want to speak to and don't expend my energy on people that I don't want to. So more times than I used to, I find myself reaching out to people and proactively like starting phone conversations or scheduling a Zoom call. And I think my friends will tell you that before this, I was never a person that like scheduled friend dates. And just being more conscious about connecting, I think has made the disconnect that my brain has naturally been creating to compartmentalize what's ever happening. I think it's made that disconnect more bearable, just consciously connecting. So much about this year has felt discouraging in a way that makes doing anything impossible, or makes doing anything for myself feel frivolous. And I think reminding myself that I'm writing a story, or I'm attempting to write a play or a perspective that like my community needs, or like my part of the theater world doesn't get to see very often. And just that reminder that, as cheesy as it sounds or as woo-woo as it sounds, that I'm writing something that's a little larger than my personal perspective is helpful. And makes me feel like I can continue to mine more importance out of it than there is, which I think is always helpful for any of us. That was a lot.
That's great. I think I'll answer it in sort of the order. I've noticed sort of there's a day a month when I just have like no energy. And usually what happens is I cancel all of my calls and meetings if I can, and then end up sort of like sleeping and like eating ice cream or whatever, snuggling my cat. Like, and so I've noticed the way that I've sort of been like, oh, I'll push really hard and that'll really drain me. And then there'll just be a day of rest, and sort of just taking that to recharge. And then the push will happen again for the next month. It's probably not the most sustainable way, but the part of me that works really well with structure has been like, all right, I'm going to try to keep these days as functional as possible just to kind of keep going as a coping mechanism. And then I think as I've moved through this year and talked to a lot of my friends, I've tried to really phrase it as like, this year's been an amazing opportunity to realize how like lucky and privileged we are and how much there is to be grateful for, even when things feel terrifying. Um, and as someone who's been in a lot of communities where there's privilege and there's like a lot of work that can be done, I told you. I think the real question is like, how do we all, the question for myself that I ask myself and then I ask my community is like, how do I become a radical abolitionist in every area of my life, right? As much as possible, as much as I can. And then from there, how does that show up in my work? So I think there's been less of like, oh my gosh, I've witnessed this thing, or oh my gosh, I'm feeling this thing right now. Let me go write a play about it. Because I get shy about being that direct. And I'm also like, who am I to, I get shy and like self-conscious, like, who am I to write the play about that? Even though we're all the people to write the plays about whatever. So I think for me, it's been about like trying to pay attention and like really stay present to these moments and then really trying to make the change or help support the change that needs to be made in sort of all the ways I can. So Terry, what about for you?
I'm stumped because the reason I asked this question is because I'm figuring it out and I was hoping that I could steal some of your ideas. Like I said, sometimes I do feel really empowered by this moment. And I don't know if I've told you guys this story before, but I, at some point in my life, have come across this through a podcast or YouTube or reading it or whatever. So if the person who told me this happens to be watching this, sorry, if I win a Tony, when I say thank you to all of my friends and fans, I'm think that's you. But anyway, it's this story about, y'all, I lost my train of thought.
That's the best.
I am so excited for the moment about 8 minutes from now when you remember, and full permission to just
remember what it is.
Throw it, just peel open the conversations, throw it in.
The reason that I asked this question is because I've been trying to figure this out for myself. And the story that I was going to tell you is that I believe that early with early humans, the beginning of humanity, there were people who would say, yo, don't go over there to that bush because there are tigers over there. If you go over there, you'll get killed. Cool. And then I believe that there are people that say, once upon a time, there was a little girl who walked over to the bush and she turned and she was frightened to see a tiger who, took a huge chunk out of her leg, and her parents were so devastated and blah, blah, blah. And I think that there is an evolutionary reason that people like us are storytellers, and that we don't just say there's a lion over there, but that we create a story. I think that remembering that revitalizes my passion for writing plays, because sometimes it can feel a little pointless and capitalistic because we're doing it as a career. So, I can feel like, oh God, what's the point of me writing this play? Like, it doesn't matter. Nobody's going to see it, or this isn't going to be produced, or whatever. But I try to remind myself that even if it is never produced or if it isn't successful or whatever, that there must be some reason and meaning that I have this desire to tell stories. And if not, if it's all truly just meaningless, then I'm gonna die anyway and I won't know. And then it won't matter. But so that's when I'm feeling discouraged, I just try to think of that, but I am very often discouraged. And I very frequently feel like I don't have something big enough to say. Kind of what you were talking about, Daria. Like, I don't feel like I have something big enough to say to make me the right playwright for the moment or whatever. I don't feel like I have an Angels in America in me. But I think we can probably take some of that pressure off of ourselves because it can be so much smaller than that too. Like, my mom seeing my little play, even if there are 50 people in the audience, like that story could have an impact on a smaller level that is also important. Maybe. These are the things I tell myself when I'm like, that's it, I quit.
You may not have Angels in America in you, but you definitely have a Clueless in you. And that's profound. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And we can write that well incredibly high.
Okay, you think Angels in America was written sober? Come on.
No, it's definitely written drunk.
Yeah. I agree with that one.
Drinking and writing is much harder for me, for the record.
Same.
I'd be asleep on the couch in about 3 minutes. So.
Yeah, like I'm on Facebook Marketplace within like 5 minutes looking at couches, being like, I already have one. Go away.
But two's better than one. So they made sectionals.
I often wonder, like, would we all have just 60 plays if we didn't have to write them on laptops? Like, what if we were writing on typewriters? Because I so frequently will be like, I'm going to do research and somehow I end up shopping.
Yeah.
Or.
Okay, but I also think, to be like the brain dork over here, I feel like sometimes our brain needs like a little like bath. It like needs to like kind of chill out for a minute. So it's like you're like problem solving really hard, get stuck. And then you're like, I don't know what to do, Facebook Marketplace. But in the background, I feel like your brain is doing this background processing to solve the question. And then so when you're finally done looking at couches or hats, you then like come back and it's solved. So I think it's necessary time.
Yeah.
To break. Wherever you go, I don't, it doesn't matter.
In that case, you're right.
I mean, I'm also good at dropping glasses and like justifying my destructive behavior. So this might just be a justification, but I offer it to you as well to share. So
I will take any of your justifications for destructive behavior for mine as well. Thank you very much.
Anytime. Stamp of approval.
Do you have anything for ordering Uber Eats that I can?
Not yet. That'll be the next round title. I'll ponder it.
Good.
My harder question. That was a really good hard question, Terry. Well done.
It was. Thank you for asking that.
Thank you. I was curious what you guys have learned about yourselves as playwrights during this process.
I've learned that I'm really sensitive. And not in a way, like not even with feedback. I'm actually not that sensitive with feedback, but I'm just sensitive with with like, I don't like, every time someone would read the play, not me, I just wanted to crawl into a hole and like, all of the front facing parts of it, I just was not, even like when we did the closed door reading, even I was just like, get me out of here. So that's something that I have learned. And I was in at the Wake of a Dead Drag Queen, so it felt so different. I felt like I was in the driver's seat. And then Marie Antoinette and the Magical Negroes, I was not in it, but it's still, I don't know, it just felt different. And this, perhaps because this play is so personal, I felt very protective over and very nervous and insecure and scared to share it.
Yeah.
I don't think I learned anything about myself. That sounds
That's okay.
tragic.
Maybe you're very self-aware.
No, absolutely not. I think the thing that I learned the most was that I put unnecessary expectations on myself, and I have a tendency to get really disappointed rather than risk feeling proud and then having that be taken away. So I guess maybe it's a similar kind of sensitivity where I am more prone to feel sensitive about the work rather than confident about it.
Mm.
But maybe it's also just because these plays are in such fresh drafts. And it feels weird to make them so public in such early stages, but it also has felt like a helpful practice. I probably would have sat on the script for at least a few more months before showing it to anybody, and being forced to show it to people and get help on it and feedback on it has definitely brought it to a place where it wouldn't have been on my own.
Yeah, it makes me, I'll answer that question in a second, but just to like hook into what you're saying, it makes me think a lot about like what is, right, like it is a new process to be like sharing so early, but at the same time that like I feel like having the containers and having the institution of Jackalope this year has made me feel like I had a purpose, right? So then I'm like, what is that like, and this isn't a dig on Jackalope and they can like edit this out, but it makes me think a lot about like, what are the containers that get us to show up or work a little faster than we would have anyway, but then how can we also help them feel, and I think Jackalope does a good job of this, but like how do we help them feel safe or organic to our individual process as well? I don't know. It's just, maybe that's just a thought that's percolating in my head. I'm like, oh, how do I produce more? Like self-imposed deadlines, I totally ignore them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But then like sharing is also terrifying and scary and sometimes unpleasant. So like what's the balance for that? I don't know. Sorry, in my brain it sounded really profound, and sharing it just sounds obvious. But
I very much felt that, like, even knowing that we had a deadline, I still didn't work on my script until like 5 days before that deadline. But then I worked on it for like 10 hours every single day. And I was like, knowing that I had the deadline made me work that hard every day. But even if I had, knowing that I had the deadline still didn't allow me to be proactive about it in any way and not an idiot. Like, I feel that. Did you learn anything about yourself, Daria?
I learned that I think formatting's my Facebook marketplace. So I would like kind of in some like fever dream of 5 a.m. would like type a lot of scenes without even like the characters or anything like that. And then the play is like horizontally laid out and has all these stupid columns and shit. But that's like, I would type till I would type until I hated what I was typing. And then that's like usually a good moment to stop because you're like, I'll delete it anyway. And then I would format it all. And so that kind of like let me reset. Yeah. And I think that having, again, like I said this, but like having the commission from Jackalope gave me permission to write a play that I don't think anyone's going to produce because it's like a dance drama with acting. I don't know. But it just made me like, oh, what's up?
I disagree. I can't wait to produce them.
Okay, we can go. We'll do a. Who are they? The P23, the P13. We'll do a P3 and just self-produce each other's plays.
Yes.
We'll talk. We'll discuss. But I think like, what is the thing? If I knew that I had like, as someone who often seeks like affirmation from outside or accolades from outside, and obviously that's self-destructive, blah blah blah. But like, I also want to be famous. But it's like, what is the thing I'll let myself write when I feel like I already have approval or like they can't take it back? Kaiser's like, we could take it back, but like, what is that thing? And then how can I lean into that and like write that more? I think that's what I learned, and those are the questions I have.
That sounds like a really fun thing to have learned or to be learning.
Yeah, it's fun to write impossible shit on the page. Like, not my problem.
So. Yeah, that's somebody else's problem.
So, Abbas, what's your deeper question?
I suppose we all have plays that are rooted in the real world or like rooted in things that happen in the real world. So with that in mind, how did you engage with your dramaturgs, or like how did you incorporate research and actual facts about the real world into your fictional play?
I'll go. So my play is one of the biggest seeds of my play is from a conversation that I had with my dramaturg. Shout out Hannah Hopkins, who's doing her PhD in many things, including the like negative environmental, societal, ecological impacts of data centers. So I heard her talk about that, and I was like, that shit I want in my play. So she'll sort of just send me things that she's written, is reading, is working on, and that'll sort of influence that side of the play. And then I've also been like, Hannah, I also know as little about the food supply chain and the dark side of Instagram influencers as I do about data centers. Could you send me anything you find on those things as well? And she's like, I got you. So she sort of has offered the sort of the dramaturgical knowledge research well found of like information. And then Michael Burke, who's my director, has often offered like the arc dramaturgy of like, this character seems to do this, or this act seems to be functioning like this, which has been really helpful as well.
Nice.
So
so
field trip.
My director, Wardell, gave me this book. It's it's about 37 pounds. And I read a lot of this, and this had pretty much anything that I needed to know about Michael Jackson. And my work with Wardell and Jared was mostly spent taking all of this material and trying to remember how we felt when we were hearing about this in real time. And I really wanted to try to remember what my loss of innocence as it relates to Michael Jackson felt like. And so a lot of my research involved my dramaturg giving me videos to read and articles to read and watching. I've watched so many Michael Jackson interviews and Diana Ross interviews and O.J. Simpson interviews, beyond, I mean, you know, just Black celebrities, Michael Jordan, so many interviews, so many music videos, and trying to meld this, like, this real life, I guess what really happened, we don't know because we weren't there, right? With what really happened, melding that with the myth of what really happened that I am actually more interested in. I don't know. I'm like halfway through the process, so it's sort of, you know, I don't rightly know, but that's kind of what we've been doing so far. What about you? I'm guessing you've been watching lots of Julia Roberts movies.
Yeah, I started by watching all of her movies and then cataloging the lines of movies into different categories of speech. Like, these are lines that mean yes, these are lines that mean no, these are lines that mean okay. And then I had my dramaturg, who is Nadia Nauman, who's incredible. She did all of this research on laws that had been put in place directly after 9/11 that allowed the government to just interject itself into different ways into your life. And then just looking at that big pile of information and deciding what to take and what not to take has been really confusing for me, which is why I wanted to hear how you all were approaching it yourselves. So I'm glad that neither of you had anything useful for me.
Nope, very hard. Who knows?
Yeah, no clue. I mean, I'll be honest. I learned what dramaturgy was in college, but I really am still kind of just learning it. So like I don't know how best to effectively use a dramaturg yet. I've never had a dramaturg and a director. I've had directors that have acted as both, but I've never had a dramaturg and a director that I've had since before I've written a word. So, you know, I'm still trying to find ways to utilize Jared's brilliance better, but I honestly just don't really know yet.
I hear that too. I've never either, and it's been nice to have, but I have no idea how to utilize all of Nadia's abilities and talents and brains to make the script better. So Nadia, if you watch this, just tell me what to do.
I also feel like we had I had a class about dramaturgy, and the point of the class was basically that like there are so many different ways that dramaturgs show up in the process that like to lump them all together is actually like problematic or hard for the field itself, which makes me sort of be like, oh, I feel like dramaturgs are like our editors a little bit, right? Especially like I was talking to a friend, and I just realized this, that there's actually very few like there's theater agents, as all we are painfully well aware of, but there's like very few theater managers who like kind of help your career arc. I think because there's no money in it, right? But given that there's that mentor guide is absent, part of me's like, I wonder if that's dramaturgs sort of. Of course we need it, then what is it to pay them, right? And to like really honor their wisdom in like maybe our body of work or maybe in this play. But I guess I'm just saying, I think the field of dramaturgy is undefined, and now we get to help make it be whatever we want it to be. But
Bless you, dramaturgs. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, dramaturgs. Thank you, directors.
Thank you.
We really do have such excellent teams.
Yeah, everyone is amazing. It's really
Absolutely.
amazing.
Yeah. I'm really proud of all of like both of you, of course, and all of our teams, I think, and our plays are so different, which is exciting. I'm sure exciting for Jackalope as well, to have 3 playwrights who are like, you know, drastically different writers and people, and we're doing a really good job now of disguising how much we argue and how much we hate each other, but
we also 3-way kiss a lot.
Yeah, so it's complicated.
I've been traveling.
In person.
Oh.
Not allowed now. You all should stay home and not kiss other people unless they're already in your bubble.
Sorry. Or your playwright cohort.
Exactly.
I feel like we're vamping. I feel like we should end soon. How do we get off this thing? How do we make it end?
Should we sing?
We sign off. What's that?
Like a
wave. I feel like they're gonna edit all of the stuff that just happened.
I certainly hope so.
If we sing Big Spender, they can't edit that out because everybody loves Big Spender.
Hey, Big Spender! I dare you to edit that one out.
Bam, spring. Yes, Kay.
What if we end it by like doing something cute, like a rap, like a haiku, like we all come up with a haiku in 30 seconds.
Okay.
Big deal. Everybody pull out a piece of paper. Take
575.
Write a goodbye haiku.
575. Okay, we have 30 seconds. This is gonna be like on SpongeBob or 30 seconds later.
Did you ever play it's like blindfolded rummy where you have to guess the number someone else has? Where you have a card up and you try to figure out who has the lowest or highest card based on people's reactions you try to figure out what your card is based on other people's reactions. This is only a tangential metaphor. What is the order we should go on? I do not think I should be first, and I do not think I should be last. I guess I think I should be in the middle.
I will go first.
You'll go first? Abbas, you can do last. Great.
Okay. My goodbye haiku, drum roll. This has been quite fun, but I really have to pee. Peace, motherfuckers.
Mine's 576. I cheated. Writing you all love. Jackalope is the bestest, as are Terry and Abbas.
Aww.
I'm sorry, Kaiser. You should have fired me last year. Sorry, everyone.
Perfect.
Oh, so
Yay.
Wow. Well,
So
I
fun.
guess thanks for watching, y'all. Bye.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye bye. Happy New Year.
Should we say like our social media handles? Like, where can you find, like, where can they find you, Daria?
At Daria Miyeko Marinelli. I don't know.
I found you, Terry.
At Terry Explains It All on Instagram.
Great.
What about you?
Yes.
They can find me at Emus and Nuns on Instagram.
Following you now.
That's real.
Awesome.
Yes. Subscribe here.
Go
Oh
eat.
my God, someone cut us off, please.
All right, we're done. I'm declaring it over.